Hello there, my name is Ben and welcome back to Play the Game Central. Today I'm going to be talking to you about music. Now, I love music, I really do love music. It's my number one passion, other than, family and my wife and all that stuff. It's the number one thing that I can go back to all the time and always enjoy new stuff. And I like all sides of music. I like actually writing music. I'm a ghostwriter and I'll go into that in a minute, but I like writing music, I like producing and mixing, mastering. I love listening to CDs and, my iPod and all that stuff. And it's that place that you can go to in your head that you can escape to when the world seems way too real. And you can just like sit down with a cup of tea and a decent song and just like chill out, or just have it in the background as you're working, although that's probably not the best thing to do unless it's classical music. But yeah, I'm in many bands. For all of those new subscribers, I don't know if you know or even care, and that doesn't matter if you don't, but I'm in bands, and I always have been in bands, and at the moment I'm in 4 bands. I'm also doing 3 solo projects as well, of which I think the Play the Game community know about 1 band and 1 solo project, because I'm weird with personal things. But yeah, it's really good. I'm a ghostwriter by trade. That's what I do. That's where I get my money from, and I write songs for... I just write songs, and if other people like them, they can use them. They can buy them, and record labels can buy them. And it's a big industry, it's not just the music industry. You can find ghostwriters in literature, obviously books, like their entire workings, novels that have been resold and rebranded. So some guy slaves over writing, chronicles, or it doesn't matter what, some long novel, and then can sell it to someone else. They just simply put their name on it, read it a few times so they understand it, and they say it's theirs. I don't like that. That's not, it is the same as what I do, but it just seems even more cheap in literature. But there are ghostwriters in films. There's, to a lesser extent, ghostwriters still exist, especially in comedy and sitcoms and TV programs. There's still ghostwriters there. But I think when you think of a ghostwriter, you probably think of someone in music and someone who deals with lyric writing and song lyrics. And you find it more and more. The music industry is getting weirder and weirder, especially the mixing, mastering and production industry, the industry side of it, because when a band gets signed to a label, say a band from even 10-20 years ago gets signed to a label, they could get what's called an advance of between about $50,000 up to, I think the most I've ever heard of is about $750,000 for one album. I think that was it wasn't Metallica, it was someone else, and I'm trying to think, it doesn't matter who it was, but actually it might have been Black Sabbath when they tried to redo. I don't know who it was, I think I do actually, but it doesn't matter. And that's a lot of money, but now it's not the same, because there are so many home producers who can do a very similar job to people who work in Abbey Road. In fact, Abbey Road is just a fucking museum now with a couple of mixing desks. But there are big, like I used to do a lot of work with Moloko Studios in London, and there's the toy shop and all these places that you can go to who have incredible facilities. I think Moloko, the pool is really cool. There's loads of different places though. We did a whole EP thing at Panic Studios, which isn't there anymore. Used to be in Acton in London. That was really nice as well. But that kind of recording studio thing, it doesn't really happen all that much anymore, because unless you're like either a rock band or you're doing classical stuff, you can pretty much knock out number ones on a MacBook Pro, or not a MacBook, but like a MacBook Pro. If you've got Pro Tools or even Logic, if you want to knock out something really shit, use Logic and you can knock out pretty much an entire album. And I know of albums that have got to number 1 using GarageBand, which is Apple's very basic recording package, and I know they've used GarageBand and only GarageBand, because when you buy something like GarageBand, you get things called samples in it. You get samples of synths and drums, and I know all the samples in it because I've been through the library. I've had GarageBand for years, although I don't think I've ever used it to record anything. And I've heard entire songs on the radio just use Apple stock samples. They're just samples of synths and stuff. I can hear that, and it's fucking annoying to think that this person is now reaping in hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, for that one person who was Usher, by the way. He could be earning millions of dollars using the most basic of software to make what he does, and that's cool. But you know, he was just lucky, I suppose, and he had a massive following anyway, so and no one gives a shit what he uses. So but unless you're in the industry, it's just a bit annoying. But you know, being a band now is different because, as I said, you get that thing called an advance. You go out and spend it on, it depends what era you're in and what decade you're in, but I think in the 70s it was basically marijuana, getting a van, because that seemed really important, having a van, marijuana, van and hats. In the 80s it was cocaine, bisexual fuck buddies if you're in a boy band, and limos. In the 90s it was tank tops, push-up bras and wigs, and in the noughties it was heroin, body glitter and mascara. And now it's different. I think now it would be pretty much something like Savlon, which is like a cut and bruise thing. Savlon, a decent pillow, and a mop so you can clean up your own sick if you happen to be sick. You know, I think the industry's changed a lot, and the people that I know who are still in the industry, and bands, you know, big bands who are still in the industry, it's not what it used to be at all. In fact, like, the idea of a rock star just doesn't happen now. I mean, I know the guys from Enter Shikari, I know a couple of the guys from Korn, and you know, they have lives, and that's it. You know, I mean, they do that, and they do it as kind of a job that's from 5 to 9, if you know what I mean, and you know, that's their kind of job. And then they go home and they sleep sometimes during the day, but they have families, and you know, it's very, very different place from where it was in the 70s and 80s, where you would just live in a van and kind of eat crisps and just travel around the entire of the United States. That doesn't happen so much now. Well, there are still tour buses and stuff, but it's not as fashionable now. People would rather get on a private jet, fly somewhere, play the gig, fly home and be with their loved ones, which is fair enough. You know, the rock star thing is bullshit. It's not a good look for anyone, and but there are still these like prima donnas from the 80s who still swear that they have to have, you know, like an incredibly well stacked stack of Ferrero Rocher every time they go into a hotel room with a specific type of calcium enriched water, and just wankers like that. You know, they always will exist, but that's the bad side of music. When you get into the nitty-gritty, when you get into the recording studios and the touring, and also the drugs and the sex, obviously there's loads of that. When you get to that, it gets really bad. The actual artistic side, the side that I love, kind of gets overshadowed by that, though. I mean, everyone's been in that position. Everyone's, well, not everyone, but everyone who's in music. I've done tours and horrible things that come with all those things, and it's not that interesting to me now at all. In fact, I'd rather die than do a tour right now, but I wouldn't rather die. I should stop saying that in case someone's listening who anyway, no, I don't mean that, Chris. And Chris, please no, let's move on. Music to me is that place where I can go to, and so it depends on my mood as to what I will listen to. And at the moment, I listen to just so much stuff. I mean, I very rarely listen to music that I write, which is very difficult considering most of my iPod is filled up with bands that I've either helped out in some way, shape or form, or I've done an entire song, or you know, it's that's very difficult for me at the moment, just because my iPod's in this weird place. I don't know what's going on with it, or my iPhone even. And but there's always places I can go. Like I can switch from listening to Elbow or Think, who are really light kind of acoustic singer-songwriting stuff, and who else have I got on there at the moment that I can think of? Willie Mason, who I love. There's loads of people, and I can switch from that to something, you know, really, really heavy like Korn. I listen to a lot of Korn. He is legend, obviously, because if you don't listen to He is Legend, you're not a legend. But again, I find it hard to listen to albums that have one of my songs on. It just really pisses me off for some reason, mainly because when you are a ghostwriter and you write a song, you write it in a style, you write it once and you always think, well, that's going to be it, that's going to be that song. And that song then gets taken and changed into just something really weird, and that can really mess with your head. Like, I wrote a song for a band called Our Lady. I didn't write a song, but I wrote a lot of a song for a band called Our Lady Peace, called All You Did Was Save My Life. And at the time it was just called Save My Life. And it had this really cool kind of intro, just really nice strumming and stuff. This is my version, it had strumming. And then it was supposed to be a really kind of melancholy, mellow song at the time. And I don't often write all that many mellow songs, but it was, you know, very, very chilled out. And then it got taken to this place. Actually, this is a bad example, because in this place it got taken somewhere better. But then it got taken into this kind of alternative rock thing and turned into this kind of epic chorus stuff. And I love all that, but it's really hard to kind of seeing your baby as it was, and then it gets taken to this place, and it gets changed up, and then it becomes not your baby anymore, and then it becomes interfered with. There's nothing worse than having your creative stuff messed around with. And but as I say, in that case, I trusted them to do a good job, and they did. But there are lots of cases where it doesn't work out quite that way. Like, I did a song called Fish and Chips a long time ago for a British female singer-songwriter who's still going, but and still at like, if she did anything, she'd be at like number 10, maybe even number 1. She's been number 1 a lot, but like, I wrote a song called Fish and Chips, and they made an EP out of basically the idea of it, and the song was shit. I mean, the song was like a comedy song, like a kind of novelty song, and it got taken into this quite serious like portrait of what Britain is like at the moment, and how everything boils down to the idea of fish and chips and just matter on a plate and stuff like that. And the idea, it really was nothing to do with actually fish and chips. The problem I have, and you can ask any of my multiple bandmates right now, is that when I name songs on Pro Tools or name songs on Logic, I name them about things around me or things on my computer screen. So I remember exactly what it was as well. It was about 8-9 years ago now, and I remember being on Google, and what the hell were we doing? Can't remember what we were doing, but there was a picture of fish and chips there. I remember it was called there, and there was a dog sat next to it. Really weird. I remember all this, but and literally just because that picture's on the screen, I'll name the entire file, or the file system, like the folders inside the system, fish and chips. And that's exactly what happened. I sent in my Pro Tools AAIFs, and they're all called Fish and Chips 1, Fish and Chips 2, Fish and Chips LR, all that stuff. And it got taken seriously, and it was turned into a kind of misogynistic view of Britain, actually. And that's exactly not what I had in mind at all. It was just supposed to be a joke song, and it didn't turn out that way. But you know, that stuff happens. But you know, it's money, so I don't really care about that. But what I like doing at the moment, and what I'm doing with my project called Songs by Benn, which will be in the description of this bitch, is I'm taking all of the negative elements of music out of the way, and I'm going to a zone in my head, going to that place that I go to when I write a song, and I just write a song. Like, I mean, I can finish a song in 15 minutes, and trust me, I have. For this Songs by Benn album that's not about to come out, but it will be coming out hopefully this side of Christmas, I've written 65 different tracks. 55 different tracks, sorry. And of that, I think maybe 12 of them might get used. That's a lot of songs to write, and then you go through them and you grade them. Like, I have a grading system on Apple where I don't know if you know Apple, you know that you can colour files, but in different ways. You can use different colours, and the green ones are ones that are, you know, ready to go, and all the orange ones are ones that need a lot of work if I wanted to do it, and the red ones are shite. And that's the way that I do that. But yeah, that's really interesting to me at the moment, kind of actually making my own album, because I've never been in a place where I could make my own album. I've always been doing stuff off the back of something else, or working with other people, because I've been in, you know, bands, and I am in bands now, but doing something that's literally me, my guitar, my emotions, my stories, hasn't been done by me yet, and I'd like to do that. So That should be good. I'm yawning. That's a nice addition to the commentary. Stretching now. Good. And yeah, so that'll be good. And for those of you who don't know, I am writing Zombies albums, and I've been writing Zombies albums for a while. I'm going to be putting up kind of an advert thing over the next couple of days for my first Zombies album before the second one comes out. So if you have got the album already, then I'm not going to apologise, because it's a good album. But I'm going to be putting up kind of little bits and bobs of it, like making mini montages and stuff, to kind of get you in the mood for the next one. And it's not a money ploy to get you buying it more. I don't give a fuck if you buy it or if you steal it. In fact, steal it if you want. But you know, I want to get you in the mood for more Zombies music from me, because there's a lot, and I mean a lot, on the way. If you thought that the last album was long, and a lot of people did, then you have no idea what you're in store for. But anyway, yeah, that's good. Yeah, I write Zombies, I write Call of Duty songs, and I write serious songs though, none of that bullshit kind of, oh, look at the frame rate and look at the lag. I don't write songs like that, because I don't care about that. When I go into songwriting, it's always serious, and it always has to mean something. Or in the respect of Zombies, it has to be telling a story, because none of that is my emotions. There's no emotions in the Zombie songs. It's always telling a story. But what you try and do is try and put yourself in the position of one person. So, for instance, in The Divider, I'm in the mindset of Ludwig Maxis, and I'm talking about Samantha, and you know, and I'm talking about the kind of world as it is, and what I want to do in Black Ops 2. And that was actually written about Black Ops 2. A lot of people aren't making the links from that album to Black Ops 2, but there are a lot, especially going down the rabbit hole, which you would have seen already, and there's a little hint to that on the map as well, which is quite cool. But you know, there's loads of things, and I'm very, very happy with the way that went, because I think a lot of people appreciated it. I was really worried at first that the people would think, well, this is just a money ploy way to get money from Black Ops, you know, make money off the game, and that's fair enough. You can think that, that's fine. But the amount of hours that took, and I know anyone who actually has a brain cell and has an idea of how music is produced would know how long these songs take to make. And that took me nearly over 6 months, actually. In fact, from the very first song on the album that I'd written, probably maybe 2.5 years ago now, to the time it was done, it took about 2 years. So, you know, that's a seriously long time, but the actual recording, mixing, mastering process all kind of culminated in about a 6-month period. But I remember when I wrote the first Zombies album, I actually wrote both albums, but I've had a little bit longer to tweak Zombies too. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, music is such a massive part of my life, and I think without music, my life would be pretty rubbishy. Not rubbish, because I still had loved ones and everything. But music is so important to me, and yeah, I love writing music. I love being in that mindset and just being able to create. I'm a really creative person, you might have noticed, but I love music. It's my one passion beyond films, TV, beyond reading, beyond, you know, gardening, going out, I don't know, running, all that stuff. You know, I like doing everything, but I love doing music. That's my number one thing to do. Anyway, that's enough about me. And I'd like to thank you for listening, though. It's been nearly 20 minutes, and that's a long time to keep your attention spans, I'm sure. But tell me what you think. Do you like music? Who are your favourite 5 bands at the moment? You don't have to say 2 down, don't worry, I believe you. You know, who are your 5 favourite bands? It can be anything. I don't care what it is. Reggae, jazz, fusion, if it's pop, I really don't care. Because all music is pretty much worth listening to, I think. There are bands that I can't stand listening to, but they bring something to the table. I think everything brings something to the table in terms of new music, and I think it's important to be experimental, even if it doesn't quite pay off. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for listening. If you'd leave a like on the video, I'd love you indefinitely, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you haven't, you're a fucking idiot. And I will see you next time. Au revoir, mon ami.